everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm going to be creating this card for you, and this is going to be a spanner card. I started off with an A2 size white card base in landscape. You can see that it's scored at the top. Now I'm just going to go ahead and put this card base into a track trimmer, and this is just going to allow me to cut just to the center or the score line of my card. So I'm going to start off here at the top, and I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and I'm going to cut it all the way to that score line. So you'll just see me moving the blade to the top of the track, and then I'll just draw that down, the blade down, just until it's at the score line. And in that way, we're going to kind of have a little bit of a flap on our card front. I'm just going to flip this over and do exactly the same thing on the other side of my card. So again, lining this up with 1 1/4 inch, putting the blade at the top of the track, and then just drawing the blade down to the score line. And when I take it out of the trimmer here, you can just see we have these 2 flaps now ready to start to create the rest of our spanner card. Now I've got my trimmer out. I'm going to cut a piece of acetate. This is heavy acetate, so it's going to sit nicely on the front of my card. I'm going to cut a strip at 1 1/4 inches, and I'm going to turn that, and I'm going to cut it again at 5 1/2. So my strip of acetate is going to be 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now this particular acetate that I'm using here has a bit of a film on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel that film off the one side of the acetate. And now I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that onto the back of the flaps on my card front. And I'll just do that with a little bit of repositionable adhesive. And that piece of acetate is going to span across the width of my A2 card base. So I'll just go ahead and adhere that onto that double-sided tape. Give that a press. And when I close those flaps, you can see that that is going to form the bottom part of the front of the card. And that's what makes this a spanner card. That's the formation of the base of the spanner card base. So now we've got this flap on the front. I'm going to be using some Cottage Countryside paper. This is a 6 by 8 1/2 inch paper pad, which is fantastic for this kind of a project because you've got lots of paper that you can use for your card. Now I'm going to cut a piece of this so that I've got a piece of 4 by 3 paper. So I'm just kind of choosing the area of the paper that I want to focus on for this flap. And I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive, some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere that to this flap on my card front. And I'm going to use the back side of that paper for the flaps on the outside edge. And I'll cut 2 strips, and these strips are going to be 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then those will just get adhered onto the front of my side flaps. And in that way, we're going to have a coordinating paper to the sides of that beautiful floral paper that's in the middle. So this is coming together nicely. You could also layer a darker paper on these side flaps, whatever you would like. I'm going to be putting some embellishments there, so I just wanted 1 layer of pattern paper that's going to coordinate nicely with that floral paper. Now I'm going to take a chunk of the paper again. I'm going to cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going to be pattern paper on the inside of my card. So once I have that trimmed up, I've just got these 2 little strips left, and that's the only amount of paper that I didn't use. So I used up virtually a whole sheet of that 6 by 8 1/2 inch paper, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to just go ahead and adhere that with some liquid adhesive onto the inside, like so. Now I do want to cover over the inside of those flaps with just some white paper, just to clean up the how they look on the inside. So I'm going to put some tape runner on those sections, and then I've cut white paper at 4¼ by 1 4¼ and by 1¼ and I'm just going to adhere those with some double-sided tape over top of those areas, and that's just going to clean that up nicely, and it's all going to look just really nice and clean. The pattern paper, the white, looks really nice. So that is completely done as far as the formation of the base of our project. Now I'm going to make some embellishments, and I'm going to be using the Lovely Layers Topiary die set. This is such a great set. I've already die cut one of the little urns, and I just love this set. I think it's really neat. The possibilities are really endless with what you could do with this for a project. Really love it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can create some different types of trees with these dies. So I am not going to create a lemon tree. I'm going to do 2 of the floral trees, but I wanted to just show you how easily this little topiary goes together with the different dies. And of course, there is a layering guide for these topiaries. So if you need that, you can definitely use that. You could put these together however you want, actually, and combine them in whatever way you want. But the layering guide is there for you if you so choose to use it. And then all of these adorable little lemons are cut with 1 die. So that 1 die cuts 8 lemons. And then you can just go ahead and glue those onto your topiary, and you've got this really sweet lemon tree topiary, which I think is adorable. So just get that on there. And then there is the tree base, which you can cut out of a brown color or whatever color you'd like. And then that will finish off your lemon tree. Now this is the tree that I'm going to be using for the floral tree. And this is how that's going to go together very, very easily. And you can use whatever colors of green that you choose for your tree base, your leaf base. I have die cut the flowers from white cardstock. I'm just going to pop some glue into the different areas where I want these little flowers. And then I'll just spread them out onto those little glue areas. And we're going to have just these really sweet little white florals for our project. So just get this last little white floral on there, and then you can see the other tree is finished as well. Now this is the tree trunk that you can die cut using the coordinating die, and I've just die cut that from some craft cardstock. Now I'm taking this is a Prismacolor yellow pencil. The exact color of that is, trying to read it here. It is canary yellow. And I'm just going with where the embossed lines are on those flowers. So the dies in this set all have embossing on them. So they're going to add embossed detail to all of the different paper pieces, which is pretty cool. And I just went in and added some yellow to the centers of those florals. Now I'm going to just add 2 of the tree trunks together to make it a little bit more sturdy, and then I'll just glue the topiary top onto the tree trunk, and that's the finished topiary. We just need to add it onto one of the urns. Now the die also comes with a set of bows. This is layering, of course. This is a lovely layer set. So you've got a large, a medium, and a small bow, and these layer together beautifully. So you start off with the largest bow, then the medium bow, and the smallest bow. And I cut these from 3 different colors of blue cardstock, starting with one of the lighter colors and ending with the darkest color, just so that you can see those layers on the bow. And then the little knot, I'm going to go in with one of the lighter colors of blue so that you can really see that finished detail on the knot. And I'll put 2 of those together for my topiary. Now for the urns, I'm going to color the base using some ink blending and some chipped sapphire distress ink. So I'll just blend that chipped sapphire on, and then the top of the urn layer, I'm going to use some Stormy Sky, and I'll just blend on some Stormy Sky distress ink just to make a little bit of a lighter contrast for the top layer of the urn. And then I'll just glue those two pieces together, and that's going to create the bases for our two topiary. Now there is a piece when you die cut these that's a little kind of a topper for your urn, and I die cut that with some gold cardstock, and that's just going to finish that off nicely. So this is how my topiary is going to go together. I am using some thin foam squares to adhere the topiary and the urn onto my card, and then I'll add the little bow on there with some liquid adhesive. But aren't these cute embellishments for the flaps on our spanner card? I thought they were just perfect. And so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just using my Pear Blossom Press ruler to make sure that I have those urns lined up from side to side and get those in place, and then that's just super cute. So I really like how that turned out. Now I wanted to put a sentiment behind my acetate, so I'm going to be using this set here. This one is called You're a Keeper, and this is a great set. I love the style of the font. I was looking for something a little more heavy, a chunkier font for this so that it really shows up nicely. And I love this set. It's a really good one. And so I'm going to go ahead and adhere my sentiment onto that flap, the 4x3 flap. And then when we close up the front, that acetate's going to go over top of the sentiment, which looks really cool. Now, I have linked up, friends, in the description box below to all of the products that I've used, and I just wanted to show you another option. You could also finish off that center flap with a little bit of ribbon. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you were inspired to create a little bit of a different type of card with your beautiful honeybee products. You can definitely put an insert on the inside there for your whatever your message is on your card. Have an amazing day, friends, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.